Welcome. It's the Nasty Pastor. I'm back with another reading, another chapter reading of, what I felt was long, what I felt that should be talked about, what I felt, in some people curiosity, some people studies, some people understanding. This was anticipated. You know the meaning of anticipated? Let's go on and look it up in the dictionary for some viewers that may not get it, may not understand how I worded it in what I'm saying. Anywho, please go to my YouTube channel, The Nasty Pastor, Only Faith Ministries. You can pull it up at The Nasty Pastor, or you can just search Only Faith Ministries. You know what I mean? And the other YouTube channel will be Only Faith Ministries Kemet Edition. And that's where this will be at. That's where this segment, this reading, this chapter reading of, Stolen Legacy, a book written by George G.M. James. That's the author. You know what I mean? I know that he caught hell, trying to publish this, trying to write this, trying to stay within the guidelines, the standard of a publishing house, a Jewish publishing house. You feel me? Do you get it? There are some things that this man probably wanted to present but couldn't. There are some things that he presented and it was taken out. You get me? The ancient Kemet, the ancient Egyptian mystery system, it's a mystery because there's a lot of buffoonery. There's a lot of untruth been put into this world. And to understand the ancient Kemet, the ancient Egyptian mystery system, you got to get that out the whole Africa. The whole Africa, the whole continent, because for every country, how to put it, you go to South Africa, you go to East Africa, you go to West Africa, all of them played a part of being a king or a pharaoh in upper northern Africa. So you have to, understand it all. And then you have to take into account that it's one continent, it should be one culture, but it's not. South differ from north, west differ from east, and east differ from all of it. West differ from all the other three. North differ from all the other three. The south differ from all the other three directions. Anywho, anticipation is the action of anticipating something, expectation or prediction. Yeah, you get me? Anticipated. I said I was coming with it. I never put a date on it. And if you're in this culture, I'm not saying it because this is where I started at. I'm not saying this is what turned the light bulb on for me. You got me? But if you're in this culture, please go pick up a copy of Stolen Legacy. Please. Start there. You know what I mean? If you start there, you could see what's visible today. And if you understand what's visible today, you probably can get an understanding what was visible, what was built, how things was planned of our past. Anywho, this is the chapter 1. This is the first chapter I'll be getting into of Stolen Legacy. And the title of chapter 1 is Greek philosophy is stolen Egyptian philosophy. Now, I got to give it up to the Greeks. You understand me? I got to give it up to them for giving us our recognition for the way we think, for the way we build, for our outlook, how life should be. But I say this to you, you know what I mean? And I'm going to say this to you once again. You know, these Greeks, you know, they're Europeans. We know King James was a European. We know that there's trickery in this Holy Bible. Because if you go over to my full readings, and if you get into Genesis, you will start understanding contradictions. If you get into the Revelation readings, you will start to hear the contradictions in the Holy Bible. Yes, my chapter readings are me reading and me getting to a point to express my thoughts of what I read. Anywho, look, I'm going to say this again before I get to read. Go on over to my YouTube channel, Only Faith Ministries, Kemet Edition. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Anywho, I am the Nasty Pastor. Let's get into this. The teachings of the Egyptian mysteries reached other lands many centuries before it reached Athens. You get it? See, that backs me explaining to you that every culture that exists on this rock had to come up in Kemet for some lessons, for some teachings, for some understanding, for some know-how. Anywho, according to history, Pythagoras, after receiving his training in Egypt, returned to his native island, Samos, where he established his order for a short time, after which he migrated to Croton. And this is in 540 BC. Well, you know, we're talking about things that happened before Jesus Christ. In southern Italy, where his order grew to enormous proportions until his final expulsion from that country. We are also told that Thales, and this is in 640 BC, who had also received his education in Egypt, and his associates, Anaximander and Anaximenes, were natives of Iona in Asia Minor, which was a stronghold of the Egyptian mystery schools, which they carried on sandfoot the Mediterranean world. Similarly, we are told that Xenophanes, which is during 576 BC, Parmenides, Zeno, and Melissus were also natives of Iona, and that they migrated to Ella in Italy and established themselves and spread the teachings of the mysteries. In like manner, we are informed that Heraclitus, this is 530 BC, Empedocles, Anaxagoras, and Democritus were also natives of Iona who were interested in physics. Hence, in training the course of the so-called Greek philosophy, we find that Ionian students, after obtaining their education from the Egyptian priests, returned to their native land, while some of them migrated to different parts of Italy, where they established themselves. Consequently, history makes it clear that the surrounding neighbors of Egypt had all become familiar with the teachings of the Egyptian mysteries. Many centuries before the Athenians, who in 399 BC sentenced Socrates to death. Zealous history of philosophy, and subsequently caused Plato and Aristotle to flee from their lives from Athens because philosophy was something foreign and unknown to them. For this same reason, we would expect either the Ionians or the Italians to exert their prior claim to philosophy, since it made contact with them long before it did with the Athenians, who were also its greatest enemies until Alexander's conquest of Egypt which provided for Aristotle free access to the library of Alexandria. The Ionians and Italians made no attempt to claim the authorship of philosophy because they were well aware that the Egyptians were the true authors. On the other hand, after the death of Aristotle, his Athenian pupils, without the authority of the state, undertook to compile a history of philosophy recognized at that time as the Sophia or wisdom of the Egyptians, which had become current and traditional in the ancient world. Which compilation, because it was produced by pupils who had belonged to Aristotle's school. Later history has erroneously called Greek philosophy, in spite of the fact that the Greeks were its greatest enemies and persecutors, and had persistently treated it as a foreign innovation. For this reason, the so-called Greek philosophy is stolen Egyptian philosophy, which first spread to Ionia, thence to Italy, and thence to Athens. And it must be remembered that at this remote period of Greek history, Thales to Aristotle, 640 BC to 322 BC, the Ionians were not Greek citizens, but at first Egyptian subjects, and later Persian subjects. Zeller's History of Philosophy. William Turner's History of Philosophy. Okay, this like footnotes, and I'm gonna get back into it now. A brief sketch of the ancient Egyptian empire will also make it clear that Asia Minor or Ionia was the ancient land of the Hittites, who were not known by any other name in ancient days. Peep this out right quick. You see how we're really foreigners? You see how knowledge travels? You understand how whom these people prayed to took them into another land and made it their land. But the teachings, the philosophy came from where? Spread it from out of where? Upper Africa. Spread it it spread it from ancient Egypt. It spread it from ancient Kemet. You get me? You understand me? Look, I'm going to say this to you one more time and I'm going to get back in this reading. If you're of the black community, why do you disrespect yourself? Why do you walk with your head down? Why you do not see the beauty that's in you? According to Diodorus and Manetho, high priests in Egypt, two columns were found at Niza, Arabia, one of the goddess Isis and the other of the god Osiris, on the latter of which the god declared that he had led an army into India to the sources of the Danube and as far as the ocean. This means, of course, that the Egyptian empire at a very early date included not only the islands of the Aegean Sea and Ionia, but also extended to the extremites of the east. You get it? We was living, we put it this way, man, you know what I mean? We was commanders, generals, we was kings in the Middle East. See, I'm gonna say this to you one more time, you know what I mean? If Africa could have always how to put it, looked at the continent as one, looked at the word as one, followed one pharaoh. You feel me? Because see, when you're pharaoh, that's like president. You feel me? You're the pharaoh of Africa. You're the president of Africa. If you're a king, that means down in Ghana, you're a king. Over there in Nigeria, you're not. Nigeria has a king. You feel me? Ethiopia has a king. Pharaoh is the president. Pharaoh is the one that, you got what I'm saying? Push this along. It's one word that spread out through the land. And like I said, if Africa could have stayed one continent, one word, you know that dynasty would still be successful today. You know that dynasty would still had an impact on the now in life. The reason this was outlawed, the reason anything about Egypt, anything about Kemet was outlawed and not to be talked about, because at a time when the black community oppressors was in power, was able to control things, able to make things how they wanted to be. They didn't want no information out there given to the black community to uplift. They was in a position of tearing us down mentally first, letting us know that no, the laws don't back what we doing, but who's in charge of the law gonna back what we're doing? And I say you're nothing. And if you keep hearing it, keep hearing it, keep hearing it, keep hearing it, I don't care if it's a purple person, it's a purple face telling you this. If there's a blue face telling you this, a red face telling you this, you start to think about it. You start to look around and start to tell yourself you're nothing. You get me? And as a community, if you feel you're nothing, then the community is broke, not broken, broke. You feel me? Done. We are also informed that Senusret I, during the 12th dynasty, conquered the whole seacoast of India beyond the Ganges to the Eastern Ocean. He is also said to have included the Cyclades and a great part of Europe in his conquest. Come on, man. We had a piece of Europe. So that's why Alexander the Great got pissed about. We had a piece of Europe, right? And we must have had a piece of Europe because there's history, there's dates go back detailing the black community, the black culture, the ancient Egypt, Kemet culture. Was living in Egypt, was living in Europe, residing in Europe, free in Europe, even during the slavery days, free in Europe. Not slaves, free. Free men and women. You get me? Don't get me wrong, they had slaves. There was options put in place that if you want to be a slave, come down here. If you don't want to be a slave, keep praying and hopefully you make it up there. You feel me? Because see, they capture you down on their land, you they slave. And the people that's in place that's the authority of that region is going to side with these slave masters. Secondly, the Amarna letters found in the government offices of the Egyptian king Akhenaten testify to the fact that the Egyptian empire had extended to the Western Asia, Syria, and Palestine, and that for centuries, Egyptian power had been supreme in the ancient world. This was in the 18th dynasty, about 1500 BC. We are also told that during the reign of Thutmose III, the dominion of Egypt extended not only along the coast of Palestine, but also from Nubia to northern Asia. Well, that's part 1 of chapter 1 of Stolen Legacy. And that high priest, I'm going to look for it. I'm going to look for some information on that high priest, and I'm glad Mr. George G.M. James put the high priest name in there. That's a dot that I'm going to connect in other places, because if that was the high priest, that means that high priest family was the ones, descendants was the ones that recorded Jesus Christ, Jesus of Nazareth, Joseph and Jesus' son. You got what I'm saying? Recorded Jesus Christ coming to the temples to study. The temples in ancient Egypt, in ancient Kemet, to study. Anywho, I'm going to say it to you again. I am the Nasty Pastor. Please go like, share, subscribe, comment to my YouTube channel, Only Faith Ministries Kemet Edition. Look, do your history. Do your own history. Do your own research. I'm out, and I love you.